Polyp works here with chapter 1093, Luffy versus Kizaru. Now, shout out to people who caught this. From a few chapters ago, people were thinking that the chapter that we're having right now was going to have something to do with Luffy because it went Sentomaru, Kizaru, and then now Luffy. So shout out to people who said that. And here's the thing, okay? We're going to talk about Kizaru real quick. Kizaru might just be the strongest Logia in the series because, skipping around a bit here, he's able to make duplicates of himself. Now, no Logia, at least no one that I have seen, is able to do this, to make shadow clones of himself, or in this case, as Luffy points out, hollow ghosts, which is very funny because it's hollow as in hologram, but it sounds like hollow as in hollow, like as in the hollow fruit. So that's a great joke, and I'm glad that Luffy picked that up. That's very funny. Very cool. I love it. Also, as Kizaru's about to fall into the ocean, he can produce light, right? Because I guess this is a different technique. It's called Yasha Kani no Magatama, right? He shoots out these light balls. He can then phase into the light balls that he's producing. And then from that, and from all these little photon beads, multiple variants of Kizaru show up. I just find that so incredible. Oh my god. I have not seen a Logia be able to do this, which is kind of weird, really, because we've seen a lot of Paramecia do this. We've seen Doflamingo do it. We've seen technically Cracker do it. That was his main MO. That's what he did. I guess you could say Moria does it, even though that's a little bit more specific. But still, the fact that a Logia is doing it is interesting. All of them can then use his techniques because, all of them can do the lightsaber thing. So not only can he make a whole army of himself, the entire army can use his techniques. That's incredible. And then too, when Luffy attacks them with Dawn Stamp, because from the looks of it, regular attacks don't work because he uses Dawn Whip. By the way, all the attacks done in Gear 5th now just have the sort of prefix of Dawn, which makes sense because, that he's the sun deity, so of course. But yeah, so that's super interesting, but they aren't immune to Haki. Or at least it seems like they can be dispelled by Haki because it looks like Booming Dawn Stamp is Haki based, though seeing as how he's bursting through all these light people, all these light projections, I'm not sure if that's the shading of him bursting through all of them or if his foot is being coated in Haki. Not sure about that, especially when you look at them all dispersed. His legs look normal, so I really don't know. Another cool thing about this chapter is that Sentomaru actually caught Bonney, because in the last chapter, Kizaru did in fact kick Bonney. She went through the barrier, got burnt up, Sentomaru caught her. So that's based. Very cool. Sentomaru coming in clutch. And we see that Vegapunk's whole mission now is to protect Bonney because, of course, she's in the midst of all these Marines, and we see that she's actually aged some Marines because we see some have been turned to babies and old men. Another callback to Shibari Archipelago. Yet another one. So that's sick. Honestly, I did not know her outfit had a hood on it. I love her in the hoods. She looks so good in hoods. Zoro is fighting Lucci. Luffy asks Zoro if he needs any help with Lucci. Apparently not. Zoro's just handling Lucci by himself. And mind you, Lucci is awakened. He's going at it. Didn't know the mane of weird wisp hair went down Lucci's back. I don't know if this is... I think this is just the regular awakened state. Because what I wondered, this may actually occur if this fight goes on. Could he do the weird, what's it called? Life return thing? There's a specific technique with life return in which you have the bulky variant of the hybrid state, but then he slims down. I was under the impression that the awakened state was the slim state already because it's sort of like a perfected form because I guess it's supposed to be a harmonious union between his normal state and the animal form. That's what the awakened state, I guess, is supposed to be when you're talking about Zoans that aren't human fruit users. So, or when they aren't a human who's eating a human fruit, I should say. So that's what I was getting from this. Though with Kaku's weird. Kaku, I don't know because he didn't really have that much discrepancy in his states. Lucci does. So to that, I'm not really sure. I do like they're fighting each other though. That's sick. And now we have a very interesting confirmation from Lucci that Zoro is indeed the number 2 of this Yonko crew. So, yeah, the bounties are accurate in that way. Well, not saying Jinbe is stronger than, well, he kind of is. To me, he's stronger than Zoro too, but that's my opinion. Jinbe is problematic if you ask me. But yeah, by the way, Jinbe doesn't do anything here. Jinbe's carrying some boxes that Vegapunk instructed him to carry. So yeah, he's in the thick of the conflicts, ain't he? Why does Oda not want to do anything with Jinbe? I'm so perplexed by that. Cause that's been kind of a thing this entire arc. Like, I compare it to when Brook first joined the crew, right? And they were fighting the flying fish riders before they came into Shabati Archipelago. And Brook showed off his music skills there in that confrontation. With Jinbe abandoned his post as helmsman as soon as the arc started to save Luffy and Bonney. And people said, well, what do you think? Should he had just let Luffy and Bonney drown? But then I'm like, dear fellow reader, did you forget that Sanji can also swim? Matter of fact, he has a specific technique that allows him to move swiftly in water at the same rate as a fishman, because he's compared to a fishman when he first does it in Fishman Island. Going to Fishman Island, I should say. Blue Walk is just, well, it's just Moonwalk, the CP9 technique, but it's performed underwater. It's his brand of that technique underwater. So why was it necessary to have Jinbe save Luffy and Bonney? And then I could see if this is a way to get him more alchemated with more members of the crew, because I forgot to mention Chopper was also in that team as well, but he has not really talked to Chopper that much. I think the only conversation they had was talking about how weird the Seraphims were. And that's another weird thing too. Like, the humanitarian does not have an extraordinarily adverse reaction to his being copied in order to be a slave weapon for the world government, whom you are actively opposing in this moment as a member of a Yonko crew. Strange. And not only that, but now you're being an errand boy for the man who's done this act in this chapter. I don't get how Jinbe is rich. Dog, I don't get it. I don't actually get it. We're going to do a video about Jinbe specifically in the future, but Jinbe is a very weird character to me. I don't get his motivations or anything, right? So Atlas and Vegapunk are going down to take control of the Pacifista Mach 3s, and they're in this cool little bubble tank called the Vega Tank 8, which looks like a Shabani Archipelago bubble with wheels on it. Really cool. Sanji hitches a ride because he wants to be a part of the Bonney saving mission, because that's also the goal too, to save Bonney. And later, as we get further down and I guess past where Lilith and Frankie were, Frankie also hops on board. People were thinking that Frankie and Sanji got mixed up, like it was a mistake on Oda, but no, Sanji's already in the bubble. I think this was just kind of like a weird way in how the spoilers were leaking out, but no, Sanji's already in the bubble. You can see his doodle there in this panel. Sanji's to like the left, Vegapunk's in the middle, and the big doodle, of course, is Atlas in the back. So then Frankie comes on and he's about to jump in. And I'm guessing, seeing as how this is just a bubble, you could just slip inside the bubble and then you're in the vehicle. But as they're moving on their way, Kizaru actually takes aim and tries to fire at Vegapunk as he's leaving. Luffy is fast enough. That's what I'm saying. Luffy is, yeah, he's FTL. Nah. Because he's able to jump in the way of the laser and absorb it. So I don't know what that means in very cartoon-esque fashion. This might have been from like Scooby-Doo or like Tom and Jerry, because I've seen this before. Because we see light beams come out his eyes, nose, and mouth, which is hilarious. I guess what's being depicted here is that his body is lighting up like a Christmas tree. That's amazing. Oh yeah, you see it in the other panel too. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh my god. I love Gear 5th. I love Gear 5th. The lore implications are a little weird, but I love Gear 5th. Gear 5th is great. And the art in the chapter overall is fantastic. Edison takes down the barrier. The team of Sanji, Vegapunk, Atlas, and Frankie move in. And then Atlas gives a signal to the pacifistas to eradicate every Marine on the island. And we get this ominous depiction of Saturn. So he is not happy. I'm not sure if Saturn's going to step in, though he might if things get too serious, because the pacifistas are dangerous, as they can just take down the sea beasts without difficulty. So that's a little interesting. But man, Kizaru is impressive. Kizaru is impressive. Oh, I forgot to mention, at the start of the chapter, Luffy grabs onto him and throws him far enough for him to even reach the ocean, which in itself is crazy. Oh, I love Gear 5th. I love Gear 5th is so cool to me. I love it. I love Gear 5th. Another very interesting thing is we get another sort of callback to Shabadi Archipelago. While Luffy was distracted by the hollow ghosts, we get a scene of Kizaru holding Usopp up by the scruff of his collar as Brook, I guess, is starting to stab him, and now Nami's at the ready, which is a little bit different because Nami wasn't at the ready back in Shabadi Archipelago. But I do remember a scene in which, I don't know if this is anime only, in which Kizaru has Usopp in his clutches and Brook is just stabbing him, but it's not working, of course, because he's made of light. So this feels like a very cool callback to that. But yeah, unfortunately to everyone listening, there is a break next week. So nuts to that. Oh, we were doing so well. But I am happy that we are rolling with things. The art is fantastic. So the surgery was a grand success. Things look very crisp in this chapter. The lighting effects were all great. Every time Kizaru shows up and does something, the lighting is superb. Love the shading. Absolutely love it. I'm very fine with all that's going on here. I want to say this. I called. It was either me or Zach from the Rose Skull podcast. I forgot who it was. And I could have said this in 1092. I can't remember. I said that he should be able to do everything that we've seen on the island. Kizaru I'm talking about. So him making holograms is so cool. Oh, that's cool. And I made another video about what I think his awakening is. I hope he does turn into a big monkey man made of light. Kind of like how NL turned into like this big fat body made of lightning with Amaru. So I hope we do get to see a Loki awakening in this arc. I really do hope so. So very excited for that. But yeah, with that, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we've got a break next week, so that kind of stinks, but Oda could take his breaks. Egghead has been peaked, and more videos coming from me in the future. Got some stuff planned, can't wait to show you. With that, give me your thoughts.